Hello friends, welcome to the next episode of DotVVM Minutes. Today I will be showing you DotVVM Business Pack, which is a set of commercial controls we are selling, and you can use it in combination with the open source DotVVM framework. So what you will see today is commercial stuff, but don't worry, Business Pack is not very expensive and it can help you with creating and providing better user experiences in your DotVVM application. I will show you our simple application first. This is our demo project and we will be migrating it to use DotVVM Business Pack. So it's a very easy, very simple edit profile page. So you can change your name, you can change the country you are coming from. I have mocked only a few countries here, not a complete list of 200 countries or what's the exact number. And you can choose some of your interests. So for example, computers and music and art. And you can also upload some profile pictures. So I have a few pictures ready here and it will just show me the picture I have just uploaded. And basically that's it. Very simple page that is using standard default .vvm components, and I have only used a tiny bit of CSS, so the layout of the page would look like this. But if you look in the source code, the CSS style, it's quite simple. I'm just changing the default font for the entire page, making the just restricted size of the form, and using flags to create this form layout. Nothing special. You can see there is only 40 lines of CSS. I'm not using any framework because I don't want to complicate the demo with hundreds of kilobytes of various CSS classes and CSS code. So this is very trivial, very simple. Just to show the components. So let's look first at the default version, how to create this experience with just normal .vvm components. So I'm using a form element to mark my entire form. It's useful when you want the users to be able to submit the form by pressing the enter key. Then you should use this HTML form. And all form fields are in these div elements, and I'm using standard text box for editing the name. So this is the default input type text control in the browser. Here is the default select element in the browser, so I'm using dot combo box, which is standard control. The interests I have created by adding checkboxes inside of the repeater control. So I have a collection of all available interests in my app, so it's something like this. So I'm not using database, it's just mockup for the user interface. So that's it, and I'm using checkboxes. So basically, I am returning or I'm setting checked items to a collection of integers, and it will put IDs of interests I have selected in this collection. So in my view model, I have a list of integer, and basically this set of checkboxes will add only the IDs of the checked interests. So if you look here in this page, I have selected 3 checkboxes, and if I open the developer tools and I will use the console to just see the state, so .vvm.state, profile, interest, IDs. So you can see there is an array of 1, 4, 5, which are the IDs of the interest I have selected. If I unselect one of them and evaluate the expression again, you can see that the number 1 has disappeared. This is the standard behavior of .vvm checkbox. You don't have to buy Business Pack for having this. So you can achieve by setting a collection in the checked items property of the checkbox. So you can use multiple checkboxes bound to the same collection, and they will add or remove their own IDs, which are specified by the check value from the collection, or they will add it to the collection. So repeater and checkbox combination. And the profile upload image experience is done by the file upload control. It's very simple. It's just a link. If I click it, it will open the file picker dialog, and I can select some photo. And when I upload it, the photo, it calls the upload completed event, which will allow me to I'm just saving the picture somewhere in the file system and changing this profile image URL so the image can be displayed immediately once I have it uploaded. And the last section is very simple. There are just two buttons. First button is marked with this property is submit button. So when I'm anywhere in the form and press enter, it will look for the first submit button. So I'm sure that this is this save button. So you can also offer the users the option to just control your form using a keyboard. Okay, so this is the default experience made with classic .vvm components. Of course, these components can be styled by CSS, so if you know how, you can create nice looking checkboxes, nice looking text box, these pickers and things like that. Also the file upload is rendering some default UI, but you have the CSS classes, the default .vvm controller renders CSS classes, so you can change this option to something else. Yeah, so you have the full power of changing the UI. But if you are using just default look and feel of the controls, it would look like this, and you need to have some CSS classes for styling. So how it would look when I add .vvm Business Pack. First, if you have never heard about .vvm Business Pack, you can go to .vvm.com and select products. And here we have a page which shows all of our products. So you can see there is the default open source framework. It's free. And you can see what controls you have here. There is a lot of controls. You can expand all the sections and compare what controls you get in the free open source version and which controls you will buy when you get .vvm Business Pack. Some controls are same as the framework, but they have more features. Like, for example, grid view has more features, inline editing, column reordering, resizing, and things like that. And it has nicer styles. Yeah, so you can see that some controls have some more extra features that are not present here in the open source version. So you can go and look in this page. You can request a trial version. If you do that, you will need to create an account on .vvm.com, and you will use this account to configure your private NuGet feed in the Visual Studio. I will show it in a few seconds. And of course, if you like the controls, you can purchase them. The license is perpetual, so you will just buy it once and the controls will work forever. And you will get 12 months of upgrades and bug fixes. So whenever we publish a new version of Business Pack, you will get it. It will automatically appear on your NuGet feed. Okay. So let's add Business Pack in the project. Make sure you have .vvm for Visual Studio installed. So I have it here. And you have this option, Manage .vvm Packages. So when you open this, this window will tell you if you need some specific configuration. It makes sure that you are signed in this .vvm for Visual Studio extension, and it checks, it verifies that you have configured your NuGet feed correctly. If not, it will allow you just to say, okay, let me configure this for you. So make sure that all the warnings in this section go away. Then you will be able to install either .vvm Business Pack or Bootstrap for .vvm. We have it in two versions, so you can choose which version of this control pack you want. I've already done it before, but you will, if I wouldn't do it before, there would be just install button. So, and you can see I have a test license. That's why it is valid until the year 2100. Hopefully, it won't be my problem by that time. Okay, so I have already done it. If you don't want to use this window, you can use classic manage NuGet packages, and you can look for .vvm feed, which should be here, and you will see all the packages you have licensed at your .vvm feed. If you have trial version, there will be 4.00-trial, but otherwise the version is the same. It's just time restricted. And if you install it via this window, you just make sure that in .vvm startup, there is the configure services. So make sure you have selected you have added this line, options.add business pack. There are two options here. You can use the default settings, which is what I'm doing here right now, but there is also an option to select a theme. You can use just the default theme, which is this enterprise, or you can use Bootstrap 4 theme. If you are combining Bootstrap 4 in your application, if you are using this CSS framework, you can select this look and feel of Business Pack controls, so the controls will match their style to Bootstrap. I'm using this enterprise theme because it has some more features, and I don't want to complicate my demo by using a complicated, large CSS framework. So what I've done, I've basically created a new page, which is called new, and it's basically a copy of the page I was showing to you before. So this default page and this new page is basically the same. There are only few small differences. Also, the view model for this page, it's almost the same. There are only some tiny cosmetic changes. So you can see the structure is the same. Here is some weird bug in Visual Studio, this is like the text here is all countries, but apparently it's in a white color, so it doesn't show up. I don't know why. It's weird, but hopefully the text is still there. Just Visual Studio for some reason doesn't show it. I don't know why. Don't ask me why this happens. Not sure about this. But the code is and also here it's strange. Okay. So let me review the changes. Basically, instead of DOT text box, Business Pack registers its own prefix. So I have BP text box, and the style of the page will just change. So you can see that the style of this control, it looks a bit different than the standard text box in the browser. It's designed so it would match the other controls as well. So that's just very simple change. Instead of DOT, you will put BP. The controls are the same. They have same properties, same settings. So you don't need to worry about anything else. This is more interesting because in the original version, I was using DOT combo box. In Business Pack, this control is split into two controls, actually. Combo box allows you not only to select items, but also to type and create your own items. So it's good when you want the user to have an option to select from a list, but also when you want the user to allow just type and add their own options. That's why combo box is good for. In Business Pack, there is also a drop-down list, which basically is the same as .vvm default combo box. Yeah, so there is the name change if you have been using DOT combo box and you just want the user to select from items, not to create their own, use drop-down list instead of combo box. Yeah. The configuration is the same. There is also an option allow unselect if this field would be optional, that user doesn't have to select it. There would be second button which would allow the user to unselect this. And you can see I have also used item template, which allows me to customize how the item in the field would look like. So I have added my flags here. So these are the flags of the countries. I hope that I haven't messed some flags up. I hope not. So that's what I have been using. Yeah, so the Business Pack combo box, or drop-down list to be precise, offers you to customize how the list items would look like. So you can add more information, better structure, or anything else. You can highlight some items if they are somehow interesting, and that's it. Okay, next field is the interest. In the old version, I have been using the repeater with checkboxes, but if you want the user to be able to select from 50 checkboxes, it wouldn't be very nice, and the users would have problems looking in this collection. Much better experience is with this MultiSelect control, and the usage is very similar. I'm just binding it to the global list of all interests we have. And then selected selected values, I'm pointing it to the same collection. It's just list of integer, nothing special, just list of integers. And I'm just telling, okay, ID is the value which will be placed in the interest IDs collection, and name is what I want to display to the user. So if you go here, you have this selection, and you can just select, or you can type, and it filters the list. So for the users, it's now much easier to select and find their options which they really want. Yeah, so it allows me to play with this quite nicely. And here, the profile image, the control looks a little bit better, and I can also drag and drop the images here. So if I drag the image from some other window, it's also an option. I won't do that. I will just select some other photo, and you can see it's here. So the functionality of this form is exactly the same. However, the only change is that this user interface looks a bit nicer. The new version of Business Pack also added CSS variables. So if you go to any Business Pack control, for example this one, and expand this section with the CSS styles, or you can see this root selector, and you can see all the CSS variables which starts with BP. And this is our prefix, so if you are using your own CSS variables, please don't start them with BP, otherwise you would have conflicts. And what's very nice here is that by changing just single variable, you can completely change the look and feel of Business Pack. So for example, if I change this BP color primary, you can see that primary color of these things is blue. So I can, for example, change it to green. So let's, for example, put lime. It's more bright green. So you can see this accent color has changed. So by changing these variables, and you can do it just in the CSS file, you can change this. So for example, I can add this to my CSS file in the body, and I can change this to lime. So when I refresh this page, you will see the color is also here. Of course, the hover color is not changed. There is another CSS variable for that, so you need to customize a bit more variables, but you will see the complete list here on the root element. We are preparing documentation for all the variables, and also a visual editor where you will be able to just fine-tune these colors by yourself, but right now we don't have it, so stay tuned. We will announce it on our social media when we have documentation and application for this. But we tried to make the naming intuitive enough so you can just see how to work with that even without the documentation. Just look at the root selector and you will see what options you have here. So that's how you can customize this Business Pack. I hope that this session was interesting and to you, and that you learned new information. I have not shown all the controls of Business Pack. If you are interested in what Business Pack can do, visit our website dotvvm.com/products, and in the Business Pack page there is a control gallery where you can see all the components Business Pack has. There is grid view, there is tab control, model dialogues, and plenty of other controls. I will be talking about them in some of the next videos. So try Business Pack, and we are really interested in your feedback. So if you have any questions or concerns, contact us on our social media or on our Gitter chat. So see you next time with .vvm Minutes.